There are some templates for table building. The table building statements are different for different table models. We support specify the table creation statement. In Doris by the parameter. Save mode create template. You can see that there is a default table creation statement. It creates a table, and then if there is no library name, it means, right? Then the variable represents that I write all the upstream fields into this one in order. At the same time, I will find the most proper field type for Doris according to the field type supported by Doris. Then write all the field types in it. Then the following is an engine, and this is a unical table by default. Then we can have a default table creation statement called row type primary key, which means that it will automatically generate the primary key column in the component column in my upstream MySQL into the parentheses. Then this is the data distribution in Doris. And this is the main interface of MySQL, and then generate it into parentheses. If we want to change the table statement, when the table template does not meet our requirements, we can specify our table building statement by the parameter configuration parameter. For example, for a non-unical model, right? It can be changed here. There is another scenario, for example, in MySQL, components are different from those in Doris, or the primary key in our MySQL is an ID. When I go to Doris, I want to add a create time field to the ID as the primary key. Then we can write the ID, a create time, and its implementation logic. In our program implementation, it will give priority to output the information corresponding to the field name, according to the order you write. And then the rest will be output later. In addition to supporting components, we also support the unique index, which is in MySQL, there is no primary key, but a unique index. We can use row type unical key to specify the unique index in MySQL as the unical key in Doris, or hash key. Here is a general introduction to the meaning of some different parameters. Then is about the data mapping. Here are some examples. The source given here is fake source, which is used to generate test data. The following is an example of Doris sync. Of course, we can configure the data file format in Doris configuration. And we recommend using a format like format JSON, whose compatibility will be better. Here, I will copy the sync. And then paste the whole sync here. And I will make some changes. My port is 8034. Then the port of my GDC is 9034. It is not 9030 by default. So we need to add this parameter to make a modification. The database is the E2E sync table. If I have multiple tables upstream, the table name, the downstream, is usually generated by this way. I specify a table name. It means that the upstream table name is taken as my downstream table name. Of course, we can also write something else here. There are three kinds of things that we currently support. The first one is called Doris database name, also schema name and table name. These three variables are supported. What do these three variables mean? Because in SeaTunnel, All the data catalogs will be abstracted to 3 levels, regardless of the data sources, which are database name, schema name, and table name. For MySQL, there are only 2 levels, database name and table name. So when we write this in here, it is actually the upstream database name, and then null, and a table name. If the upstream is Oracle, it has database name, schema name, and table name. This is Oracle's database name with an underscore. Here, because I've already specified database name, then my table name just needs to be consistent with the one in MySQL. Of course, I can add a suffix. For example, from MySQL underscore to the upstream indication. A suffix such as from MySQL is used as a table name in my Doris. Other configurations remain unchanged. Of course, because by default, I let it build tables automatically. My save mode can be template, which is also the default value. A unical model is created by default. My schemac name by default. It creates a table when there is no table, and apply when there is already one. So I didn't configure these parameters. You can add these parameters to your own needs. Okay, I'll make a copy. Excuse me, I need to connect to the VPN. My network is disconnected, and I want to connect it again. Okay, I will edit the configuration file here. Of course, MySQL is okay. Stick it in, and then I will run it. We can see that the task was successfully completed. Now, let's see if there is an automatic creation of these 2 tables in our Doris. You can see that there were no those 2 tables before. Refresh it. You can see that the tables in this database have been created. Then the table name in the original MySQL is added with the prefix and suffix, such as from MySQL. Then this is the table that the fields in the library correspond to each other. Because I only selected 3 fields, there are only 3 words in this field. The data in the table is basically consistent with the data in MySQL. Today, I will mainly introduce 2 features. The first one is multi-table synchronization. The second is the automatic table creation by save mode model. Of course, I also gave you a detailed introduction to the configuration of some parameters of our MySQL GDC source, some parameter configuration in Doris, and some ways to use the parameters. Okay, that's all for today. If you have any questions, you can turn to the community for analyzers, and we expect for suggestions related to functions optimization by submitted PR. Welcome to join in the community communications.